Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you, especially for senior citizens. You know, this helps keeps our brains young, enjoy what we remember, and have a little fun in the process. So let's have some fun. Let's start with question 1. What was former U.S. President William Taft's pet cow named? Betty, Pauline, or Paul? And if you said Pauline, you've got a pretty good grasp on history. What Greek mathematician is considered the founder and father of geometry? Thales of Miletus, Plato, or Euclid? And that Greek mathematician was Euclid. Florence Nightingale aided the sick and wounded during what war? The Third Marathon War, the Crimean War, or the Tripolitan War? And she took care of them during the Crimean War. True or false? Ancient Romans boiled vinegar and goat poop to make an energy drink. Is that true or is that false? It sounds so disgusting, it just has to be, well, true. Yeesh. Who was the first performer at the Woodstock Festival in 1969? Richie Havens, Arlo Guthrie, or Joan Baez? Kicking off the Woodstock Festival, that was Richie Havens. In 1963, New York Zoo was home to the most dangerous animal in the world exhibit. What was the exhibit? A mirror, a movie, or a play? It was a mirror. What was the first console video game that allowed the video game to be saved? Okami, The Legend of Zelda, or Hyper Light Drifter? And that was The Legend of Zelda. What island state was formerly known by the name Formosa? Madagascar, Taiwan, or Principe? And that was Taiwan. What element did Joseph Priestley discover in 1774? Sodium, hydrogen, or oxygen? Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen as an element. What inorganic molecule is produced by lightning? Inorganic molecule. That would be ozone. What was the shortest war in human history? The shortest war in human history. That was the war between England and Zanzibar. In which year did Hitler commit suicide? 1945, 1944, or 1946? Hitler committed suicide in 1945. The Hanging Gardens was found in which city? Assyria, Babylon, or Phoenicia? The Hanging Gardens were found in Babylon. Greenland was a colony of which country until 1981? Malta, Iceland, or Denmark? Until 1981, Denmark. How many days in a week were there in ancient Roman times? Were there 8 days in a week, 11 days in a week, or 13 days in a week? You mean it was different back then? There were 8 days in a week in ancient Roman times. How many days was William Harrison President of the United States? Did he serve for 53 days, 41 days, or 32 days? He served for 32 days. Who were the Russian rulers from the 17th century until the 1917 revolution? The Rurikids, the Romanovs, or the Kievan? And those were the Romanovs. Which U.S. president had a home called the Hermitage? Was that Andrew Johnson's home, Andrew Jackson's home, or Jimmy Carter's home? And that was the home of Andrew Jackson. Which famous battle took place on Sunday, June 18th, 1815? And that was the Battle of Waterloo. How many U.S. presidents have been assassinated? 9, 6, or 4? There have been 4 U.S. presidents who were assassinated. Which king of England was executed in 1649 during the English Civil War? William II, Charles I, or Henry III? And that king of England was Charles I. Which world leader is famous for his Little Red Book? And that world leader was Mao Zedong. In which country did the Easter Rising take place in 1916? Ireland, England, or Scotland? And that took place in Ireland. In what year did the first space shuttle go into space? 1969, 1978, or 1981? And that year was 1981. Which Greek historian is known as the father of history? Ephorus, Herodotus, or Strabo? The father of history. Well, that would be Herodotus. True or false? Ivan Anikiev was the first man to conduct a spacewalk. Is that true or is that false? That's false. Alexei Leonov was the first man to conduct a spacewalk. Which infamous prison was stormed on July 14, 1789? The Bastille, San Quentin Prison, or Alcatraz? And they stormed the Bastille. What is the modern name for Van Diemen's Land? Queensland, Victoria, or Tasmania? And that would be Tasmania. Roald Amundsen led a successful expedition to what location in 1911? The North Pole, the South Pole, or Antarctica? And he led a successful expedition to the South Pole, which is in Antarctica. The Ptolemy dynasty ruled which ancient kingdom? The Ptolemy dynasty, they ruled the kingdom of Egypt. Who invented the cotton gin? William Morrison, Eli Whitney, or John Wharton? The cotton gin, that was invented by Eli Whitney. Who became president of the United States after John F. Kennedy was assassinated? Gerald Ford, Richard Nixon, or Lyndon Johnson? And that was Lyndon Johnson. Octavian defeated Mark Antony in which famous naval battle of 31 BC? The Battle of Yultong, the Battle of Actium, or the Battle of Quito Cannavale? And that was the Battle of Actium. The Peloponnesian War was fought between Athens and which Greek state? Chalcis, Eretria, or Sparta? And the Peloponnesian War was fought with Sparta. What is the name of the first car ever made? The motor wagon, the Stahlradwagen, or the Hancock omnibus? The name of the first car ever made was the motor wagon. What is the name of the first human civilization? The Assyrian, the Mesopotamian, or the Indus Valley civilization? The first human civilization was the Mesopotamian civilization. In which year was the first Super Bowl played? 1967, 1971, or 1978? The first Super Bowl was played in 1967. What is the name of the first female Hispanic astronaut? Claudia Hagnere, Helen Sharman, or Ellen Ochoa? And the first female Hispanic astronaut was Ellen Ochoa. Who was the emperor of Rome from AD 54 to AD 68? Galba, Nero, or Vitellius? From 54 to 68, that was Nero. Which century did the French Revolution take place in? The 18th century, the 15th century, or the 17th century? The French Revolution. That took place in the 18th century. What is the name of the Beatles' debut album? A Hard Day's Night, With the Beatles, or Please, Please Me? Their debut album was entitled Please, Please Me. The Whitechapel Murderer is a nickname given to which serial killer? The Whitechapel Murderer. That would be Jack the Ripper. In which year was Mahatma Gandhi killed? 1948, 1951, or 1963? Mahatma Gandhi was killed in 1948. In which war did the Battle of the Bulge take place? The Battle of the Bulge. That took place in World War II. During World War II. Who was the first female to be elected into the U.S. Congress? Barbara Mikulski, Janet Rankin or Dianne Feinstein? The first female to be elected into Congress was Janet Rankin. Before independence, what was Bangladesh called? Before they were Bangladesh and independent, they were East Pakistan. Whose assassination resulted in the Lorraine Motel becoming the National Civil Rights Museum? James Garfield, Martin Luther King Jr., or William McKinley? And that was Martin Luther King Jr. What nation separated from the United Kingdom in 1921? Scotland, Wales, or Ireland? And that was Ireland. In which country was the largest known T-Rex skeleton found? Canada, Mexico, or Haiti? The largest known T-Rex skeleton that was found in Canada. What was the first toy to be advertised on television? Well, we remember. It was Mr. Potato Head. Where was Adolf Hitler born? Was he born in Germany, Austria, or Belgium? That's right, Adolf Hitler wasn't German. He was Austrian. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 was fought in which country? England, Scotland, or Wales? The Battle of Hastings was fought in England. Who created the first successful printing press? Benny Landa, Johannes Gutenberg, or Ray Tomlinson? And that was created by Johannes Gutenberg. What is the name of the disease that ravaged and killed a third of Europe's population in the 14th century? The 14th century, the name of the disease that ravaged Europe was the bubonic plague. Which Roman emperor built a massive wall across northern Britain in 122 AD? Augustus, Claudius, or Hadrian? That wall was built under the orders of Emperor Hadrian. The Aztec people sacrificed about how many people per year? 300,000, 250,000, or 420,000 people? 250,000 people were sacrificed by the Aztecs. Yikes! Who wrote the document known as the 95 Theses? Martin Luther, Heinrich Kramer, or John Brugman? The 95 Theses was posted and written by Martin Luther. The ancient Mayan civilization existed in which modern-day country? Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, or Guatemala? The Mayan civilization. They were in modern-day Guatemala. In 1594, William Shakespeare joined the company of which London theater? The Bard joined the Globe Theater. What famous 5th century AD conqueror was known as the Scourge of God? Valentinian III, Attila, or Stilicho. And that was Attila. In what year did humans put the first satellite into orbit? 1964, 1961, or 1957? That first satellite was put into orbit in 1957. Who was the first Western explorer to reach China? Vasco da Gama, Ibn Battuta, or Marco Polo? The first Western explorer to reach China was Marco Polo. Who was the inventor of the television? Philo Farnsworth, Lumiere brothers, or Jordan Martin? The inventor of the television was Philo Farnsworth. Which series of wars saw European Christians invading the Middle East? The Reconquistas, the Crusades, or the Toltecs? And that would be the Crusades. There have been 4 eons since the Earth's beginning. What is the name of the eon we are currently living in? We are living in the Phanerozoic eon. Which human ancestor was the first to discover fire? Were they Neanderthals, Homo erectus, or Australopithecus? The first to discover fire was Homo erectus. Who is known as the Virgin Queen? Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth II, or Queen Elizabeth I? And the Virgin Queen was Queen Elizabeth I. Where was Cleopatra's birthplace? Was she born in Greece, Croatia, or Italy? Cleopatra was born in Greece. What acquisition of territory by the United States from France occurred in 1803? In 1803, that was the Louisiana Purchase. What category was Hurricane Katrina when it made landfall in 2005? Was it a Category 5, a Category 3, or was it a Cat 7? When it made landfall, it was a Category 3. How long did it take Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, to orbit the Earth? 53 minutes, 64 minutes, or 89 minutes? He orbited the Earth in 89 minutes. The Protestant Reformation was started by whom? The Protestant Reformation was started by Martin Luther. What was the name of the movie that Elvis Presley made his film debut in? Change of Habit, La Classe Américaine, or Love Me Tender? It was Love Me Tender. Eva Perón was the first lady of what country? Argentina, Brazil, or Ecuador? Eva Perón was the first lady of Argentina. Who was not a member of the Allied powers during World War II? We're looking for Italy. Who was responsible for liberating much of South America? Pedro Santana, Jose de San Martin, or Simon Bolivar? Responsible for liberating most of South America, Simon Bolivar. Which Roman emperor's edict of Milan made Christianity legal? Maxentius, Constantine, or Severus? And that was Constantine. What was the name of the first computer? Yes, they named it. Let's see. The name of the first computer was ENIAC. Which African nation successfully resisted colonialism in the late 19th century? Was it Nigeria, Ghana, or Ethiopia? And that country was Ethiopia. Which Chinese destination was a site of protests in 1989? Tiananmen Square, the National Museum of China, or Huabiao? And that was Tiananmen Square. How long was Francisco Franco in power in Spain? 36 years, 43 years, or 27 years? Francisco Franco was in power for 36 years. Which country did England send convicts to between 1788 and 1868? England sent convicts to populate Australia. Which conflict ended with the Good Friday Agreement? With the IRA, the Troubles, or Bloody Sunday? And that conflict was with the Troubles. The Troubles conflict. What is the name of the island Napoleon was exiled to? Elba, Magaroya, or Silt? Napoleon was exiled to Elba. What modern-day city was known as Bombay? Kolkata, New Delhi, or Mumbai? Bombay is now known as Mumbai. Which country was not part of the Triple Entente? Or I should say, which European country was not part of the Triple Entente? And that would be Germany. Who won 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympics, infuriating Adolf Hitler? Jesse Owens, Herb Douglas, or Harrison Dillard? That was Jesse Owens. True or false? Golda Meir was the first and only female Prime Minister of Israel. Is that true or is that false? Golda Meir, the only female Prime Minister of Israel. And so far, that's true. In which country did Buddhism originate? Buddhism originated in Nepal. Who was the President of the United States during the Iran hostage crisis? Martin Van Buren, Jimmy Carter, or Theodore Roosevelt? And that president was Jimmy Carter. Which 19th century scientist is known for creating the first vaccine? James Phipps, Louis Pasteur, or Edward Jenner? And that was Louis Pasteur. In which year did the Emancipation Proclamation become law? 1863, 1867, or 1869? The Emancipation Proclamation became law in 1863. Who invented the steam engine? John Smeaton, George Stephenson, or John Rennie? The steam engine was invented by George Stephenson. From what city did the Titanic set sail? From Salisbury, from St. Albans, or from Southampton? The Titanic set sail from Southampton. What kind of animal did Cleopatra use to kill herself? Cleopatra killed herself using a snake. Which U.S. mail service started in 1860? The Pony Express, the periodicals, or the USPS? The United States Postal Service. In 1860, that was the beginning of the Pony Express. Who was the Hollywood star who became the governor of California in 2003? Trey Radel, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Richard Petty? And that Hollywood star was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who is the Greek goddess of victory? Hera, Nike, or Circe? The Greek goddess of victory is Nike. What is the oldest operating airline in the world? Qantas, KLM, or Air Quarus? The oldest operating airline in the world is KLM. What language was the name Australia derived from? Australia is derived from the Latin language. And that was question 100. Thanks for playing Quiz Time. Don't forget to put your score in the comments section, and please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you never miss Quiz Time when it comes out. Thanks for playing again, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.